Another day.
Another day.
So today we're going to talk about what do we call it?
Building like worlds.
Secret ecom businesses that you don't know are actually ecom businesses. So I went to the Savannah Banana show. I call it a show because it's basically the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball, right? They played baseball, but no, they didn't. They're booty dancing. They brought out John Cena. Like it's this whole thing. And you know, I don't love baseball. But I love business, and I went with baseball aficionados, right? Really, I went with my wife's friends, and the husbands were there, but they like baseball. But I was like, all right, so what's the deal with this? This isn't like, you know, are they in the minors or what? And they're like, no, this guy bought this team, and basically through COVID, like turned it into a social media group, right? Yep. And you got the Savannah Bananas, and they switched teams. It's basically one big team. They're about to get another one, and I'll talk about it, but they're playing always against this other team, the Party Animals. It's the same as the Harlem Globetrotters always playing whatever else team, yep. Right? And so I was like, all right, cool. And then I looked at how many people were there. Like, okay, so they explained to me that the guy makes zero money on the tickets, right? The tickets are like $25. They're always selling out, 10,000 people at a time, usually 10 or more. And I was like, okay, so this dude's making his money on merch. And merch is like $60 t-shirts, $90 jerseys, $50 hats. So the average person's not going alone. They're going with someone. Say you don't buy, but there's family of four that buys. Let's just average it out for about $150 per like person that's there. If there's 10,000 people there, it's about $10.5 million per time, right? Now, okay, well, you got to pay the players and this. No, you don't. So he doesn't pay the players. The players get housing, food, and it is kind of like a developmental thing. So they can, if they actually get good and they get looked at, they could walk into a minor or something like that, right? And they get social media exposure. So these guys just love baseball. They haven't found something. Some of them, you know, have other jobs when it's not kind of like in season. But this guy's really, the whole, the location's covered. Right? The guys are covered very, very minimally. So it's very profitable. And $10 million, let's say, each and every time. And they're doing 3 events, like kind of like residencies. 3 events in Tampa, 3 events in Oklahoma, 3, boom, 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 right? So you're doing 3 events a week. That's $30 million a week. It's $100 million, that's $1 billion business, right? That started from scratch. And it's not a baseball business. And it's a show. It's a merchandising company. Yeah. Right. It's a merch business. And when I started looking at that, I started doing the numbers. How long have they been in business? What's the thing? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Very little information because it's a private business. But you can just start doing the math, even if you just half it, right? They're doing $5 million. It's the valuation of this thing is going to explode. And they're not targeting, right? They target the best people to ever target, which is how people should always think. They're targeting women 35 to 50 with disposable income that shop at Target. If you want to do that in your life, you'll make money, period, point blank. If you're like, oh, yeah, it's for dudes, nope. Oh, yeah, nope. It's for women. That's the game. It's always the best game to play, and he's playing it. So he has the Savannah Bananas, the Party Animals. They're just launching a new developmental team. They're called the Firefighters. So these guys play with no shirts. It's all sexual. It's all like for the women. You know, they're booty dancing. The chicks are freaking out. And I'm just looking at it, and I'm like, oh my God, like this guy is a genius, right? And then they start beef with the people. And so I realized like, man, this is the most genius play in the world, right? And I started thinking, man, like how many people create things that you think you're going, like wrestling. Wrestling is a merchandising business and media, right? It's not like events and fighting, you know, they're media companies, they're exposure businesses, and they sell through merchandising. All the influencers in the world, right? Like you come in for one thing, you end up getting something else that you don't even realize is actually the thing that these people are selling, because you might buy something else, right? Like Logan Paul, it's Prime, right? But really, it's a media property as well. You know, he can get Prime, he can do Lime, he can do Slime. It doesn't matter because what he really is a media property that can monetize, you know, products and stuff like that. So it's, you know, we started thinking like, man, like, how can people start thinking a little bit more like this? And it always goes back to, you know, and we say it because there's not 19 things in the world that you got to do for this stuff. Get exposure. get the right audience to adore you, build more exposure, and sell them shit.
Yeah. I mean, so a couple things I want to piggyback on. So first is it's a merchandising business, but it's also a media business. So you started to hit on that, but this guy, he's written a book, right? So he's got a book out there doing his thing. They did a big docuseries with ESPN last year. They have rights. Now I think the rights are actually on YouTube, but he had rights on like ESPN Plus and stuff like that as well for some of the games. So there's a media play too. But the biggest thing that you said is he found it's marketing 101. Find an audience, bring them somewhere. Bring them to a website, bring them to an event, bring them to whatever that it is, bring them somewhere. So he's got an audience. He's, activated them, bringing them to an event so that they can buy more stuff.
Yep.
Right. So he uses media, right? Social media. That's what all the dancing and all that is. So he goes viral on TikTok.
Yep.
So more people want to see it. So more people buy tickets. They get to the event. And that's where he makes his money. And I think this is like business 101, right? Find your audience, activate that audience, bring them somewhere, and then you actually sell the product that you want to sell. I mean, dude, you and I have done this for 20 years, right? Like you think about like tripwires or free PDFs or like it's the same thing. You're dangling this carrot in front of people. What is the thing that people want? They want to go watch this baseball game. That's what they think they want. Right? What they really want is they want to buy shirts for all the kids, hats for all the kids. I was joking with you. So we were in the lottery to go to that. So it's a lottery.
Oh,
There's so many fans that want to go that there's a lottery to who gets the tickets. We didn't get them. You got
Scarcity.
them. You don't even like baseball and you got them.
So I had a friend who they do corporate. They go yearly, so they buy corporate.
Got it.
So that's the only reason.
So there's this lottery to get in, right? And so now people are fighting to go to this event. And now they want to go and
more
again,
exposure because it's scarcity.
Correct. So you're joining the email list, media. Yep. So the next time they're in town, or the next time they have a merch drop, or the next time a new jersey comes out, or whatever it is. And so like my kids, they all have jerseys. We've never been to a game. Now they also have they're starting a retail strategy. So there's an Academy Sports. It's like a Dick's Sporting Goods kind of chain here. They have all the merch in store now. Right. So Evo, and they partnered with like Evo Shield for the jerseys and all that. So that's a deal, right?
Yep.
That they've done. I mean, the whole thing is brilliant, but you're right. It's like a hidden commerce business.
Right.
Because you think you're going to a baseball game, but they're really selling you merch. We talked about this about Royal Rumble a couple episodes back. Same thing, like get you to this live event and get you to spend money on merch, which is where all it's insane. But this is cool because it actually happens in e-commerce too. Like we have a golf brand. You introduced them to us. They sell golf tees. We sell them on Grommet. We sell thousands and thousands of golf tees. But the golf tees is really just a front end into the entire world of golf. And I know you're working with them, and there's things that are happening to where like the golf tee is just the entry point.
Right. And we were working with them. They're dear friends of mine, and I was consulting with them and stuff like that. And we were like, okay, what else can we create? And they want to do these boxes and all that. And I was like, listen, why don't we sell them clothes? They're going to golf. Like what do you think they need? Moisture wicking shirts. They want to rock the hats, and they want to wear the nice clean pants. Basically, let's build the cuts of golf. Yeah. Because we have that audience, because the audience is now acquired, instead of like, hey, let's make golf balls or let's do whatever, right? So now we're coming out with like Stanley, like private labeled Stanley like stuff. We're launching clothing, but we're launching clothing in specific drops. So everything is going to have little icons that are separate. So it'll be like the golf alien thing. It'll be like for Memorial Day or Labor Day, we're gonna have eagle like guys golfing, and it's gonna be like embroidered patches. Everything. It'll be limited edition hats and stuff, almost like Supreme meets cuts for golfers. But that's a 40-year-old guy to 50-year-old guy, little bit heavier set, just wants to be comfortable, and they want to rock the same thing in the golf, in the country club, that they do in the meeting, right? And so you got to figure out kind of like the audience and what they want. The first batch, what we did was a little bit more streetwear, more fun, and we were like, this is awesome for us. This isn't our audience, so you got to know your audience and know what you're going to sell it to them. But yeah, that's, there's a lot of people that they think that one thing is their product. And then they're like, I don't know what to do next. Like, dude, we say it all the time. It's media and commerce, right? That should be the name of the pod because it's all that matters, right? You create media from anything else that you do. You can create commerce from that. If you try to just create commerce for that one thing, you're going to be in a position that like kills your opportunity for exposure. It kills your opportunity for growth. because you just are selling one particular gizmo, gadget, problem, things, stuff like that, right? If you're going into, you know, the health and wellness space, you want to sell red lights and mats and, you know, hyperbaric stuff, whatever you want to do, I would start a media property instead of starting an e-commerce store first, right? And I would go viral, all the viral content, Huberman, Gary Brecka, all these people, right? Like boom, boom, boom. Whatever's trending, we're running it almost like a ESPN or like a baller store for, you know, for that kind of health stuff, right? Make it a like a media property, like a Daquan for that kind of stuff. Then when we have the audience, I know what they're buying. I know who they are. They're following this. Boom, we launch it. It crushes. But people use the reverse.
I think we all get so attached to our product.
Right.
Because we created it. It took time. This is our baby. But we have to step out a little bit. So going back to Savannah Banana, right? He bought a baseball team.
Right.
That's how this whole thing started.
A
failing baseball team, right? And so that was the product. He had to zoom out and really understand that he bought the baseball team as a means to an end, not that was, all right, I got to make this baseball team profitable. He goes, all right, well, I have this baseball team. How do I get people here? And then how do I monetize? Versus like, how do I just sell more tickets? I got to make more dollars off of every ticket, or let's go sell concessions. He realized that he had this team, right? Rebranded it, the bananas, and like did all this stuff. And then he's like, let me build a business around that. Right. And so again, so many people get so attached to the product, like what you just said, like in the biohacking space, you're absolutely right. Build the media property. The product, it's crazy. The product actually becomes easy because your customers, your audience, the people in your community, like if you go to a Savannah Bananas game, the first thing my kid's going to say is, I want a hat.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let's make more hats. Oh, my kid wants a shirt. Let's make more jerseys. They literally told you what they wanted to buy, right? Same thing, you know, in the biohacking space. Your audience, if you just start talking about, you know, this jaw thing that's going to like, let's make a jaw exercise thing.
And we've done $40 million with that product, actually.
Exactly, right? And so, but that's the craziest thing is you just start talking about these things.
Right.
With media, with authority, with credibility, with expertise on a platform where your audience is congregating, the sales, what you sell becomes easy. But I think most people start backwards.
Yeah, and if you think about it, the more I think about it, the more we are in the same exact space that we were in 2000, because we've been doing this together for like 20 years. We're in the same spot as 2008 and 9. Mm-hmm. Bloggers are creators. Their blogs are their Instagram, TikTok pages, and you're just getting in. Leverage SEO is just social now for the most part, and you'd still get that, but nothing's changed, right?
Nothing.
I want to go sell Stanley Cups. I would have gone to mommy bloggers to get exposure, take the traffic, and push that agenda out, right? Like use those types of medias. And, you know, for the people thinking like, well, I got an e-commerce product, I don't know what to do. Honestly, if I were to do another one again, when we're gonna talk a little bit about, we are doing 2 different ones that we're working on, but we're going media first, right? We're going eyeballs first because you can monetize. Let's say, let's stay with the biohacking thing just for fun, right? Like, cool, like podcast, media property, all that. Yeah, I'm investing in that stuff. I can get sponsors, I can monetize, I can build an email list, I can do affiliate stuff, I can remarket. There's stuff there where you can make some money and even get better data. But once I have that, then I go make a product. Instead of starting the product and be like, all right, I got to monetize because I invested in this, got that, got this. You're still going to need that stuff you haven't built yet.
Yeah.
So I'd start first there. And I know it's probably the most contradicting thing that you have probably heard on a podcast, but that is the play. Because if you look at everybody, right, like the people that you're like, oh man, I can't believe they did that. They did media first and then they went with the thing.
Yeah. And there's so much opportunity still in media. I was listening to Mr. Beast Manager. He's got a really, really great newsletter on LinkedIn talking about how people think YouTube is like saturated today. It's not even like 1/100th of what blogs were in 2007, 2008, right? There is so much opportunity, and there's so much opportunity within niches and with communities. How can it get exciting and interesting to you? So I've got a brand at Grommet, and I'm not affiliated with they're on Grommet, but I think about them a lot. They have a product called SubSafe, and it basically like it's a container you put your sandwich in. So when you throw it in the cooler, you know, if you take like a Subway sub or a Publix, we're in Florida, Publix. Right? Pub subs all day, right? And so they give it to you in this little like paper wrapper. If you threw that into a chest of ice, what's going to happen to the sub? It's going to get super soggy really fast.
Sucks.
Right? It sucks. So they built like a container that you put the sub in and you throw it in the ice, and now it stays fresh all day.
Simplest thing.
It floats. You can, throw it off the boat and it just floats in the lake.
That's what you're doing.
It's like the coolest thing, right?
Yeah,
they know the audience. But I'm just like thinking about this. I'm like, what if they like got an RV this summer and went to like every cool sub shop all across the country and interviewed all of these people making cool subs and new ways to make subs and all these weird things, and like built a media property around like the Sandwich King. Oh, and by the way, the best way to save your sandwich is through I'm just like, how do I reverse this into like making them the biggest media property on the planet around sandwiches, around subs, around the tailgates and people getting together and like making these cool things, and grandma's recipe for the cool, corned beef sandwich or like whatever crazy thing that you do. I'm like, that's the opportunity versus trying to just run another Facebook ad for protect your sub. And again, what they're doing is great. I'm not taking anything away from the brand. This is like, I love what they're doing, but I'm just like, I think about these things all day. I'm like, how do you become category king?
And I know that it works because I know a company, I was consulting with their competitor, but these two guys are friends. And so I can't like say who it is or whatever the case, but this guy was like, yeah, I want to do this. That's very similar in the kind of like holistic health space. One of the big products that they sell is like, what is it called when you put coconut oil, oil pulling? It's an oil pulling product, and they've got some other like really healthy, like, essential oils and basic stuff that you're like, oh man, that's rough. He didn't start that at first. And now he's in retail stores and stuff like that. But he didn't start that as first. He has 3 pages that the other guy, he's like, I'm not going to tell you the pages. They have anywhere from 1 to 7 million followers. And then he pushed that on that. And then that got him creators, because then he pushed out like, hey, this is what we're going to pay guys. Boom, blew up. You can't buy the products. Immediately got a retail thing within like a year, which is so unheard of and not logical. It's 8-figure business. He'll probably get to 9 figures. If he would have sold oil pulling and essential oils and like a toothbrush and a tongue scraper and like some body wash that's safe for you, bro, goodbye. Like, you're getting murdered. But he made himself a character. He built all that first, and now that's the game. That is the game. It's just you don't want to play it because it's terrifying, but it's just as terrifying as just spending money on ads right now and trying to find the best CPM and the upsells and all that kind of stuff. Not saying that doesn't work. That totally works. But if you're not building brand now, if you're not building media, I really think that in the next 2-5 years, you can't have we sell commodities, no matter how you slice it. Everything is pretty much a commodity or a variation of something else, right? If you don't have the media, I don't think you're going to have a way to grow.
Really, really hard. Well, the cool news is we found, I think, the niche
of
this podcast.
I think we nailed it.
I think we nailed it because every episode,
that's all we talk about.
All we talk about is media companies and commerce. So I think we nailed that. And then, so the opportunity for you as you're listening today is like, what is the hidden opportunity for you to build that audience, to bring that audience, to activate that audience, to sell them what you really want to sell them? I think at the end of the day, that's the core of what we always talk about. But that is the true nature. Is everything around you has that. Every big thing around you has that. Like, I think about, biohacking, like going back to like Dave Asprey and like early, he was just talking about like ways to hack yourself as like this bulletproof executive.
He had nothing.
He had nothing. And then he just started talking about this weird ass coffee, right? All of a sudden everybody's putting butter. Like, that was this dumbest idea of all time.
It's so delicious.
It's so delicious. It's still a dumb idea.
Yeah.
To drink butter in your coffee every day. But built, multi-$100 million business that he, ultimately exited from. And I'm just like, man, like everything starts with this. Creating an audience, activating that audience through media, and then selling them ultimately what you're talking about anyway.
The good thing is that I'm excited about. This podcast just got a lot more exciting because we know exactly what we're going to create, like content-wise and stuff like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It's a brief one, but the rest of them are going to be even more amazing and exciting. So subscribe, join the notifications. When you see this, you'll have it in all of our channels now and stuff like that. So thank you guys. We're excited to do this with you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Later, guys.